What's up everyone, my name's Robbie. This is Robbie and Manila, and today we're talking about Cathie Wood's ARK Invest post-crash. So most of my videos I kind of script out, I have some bullet points, I kind of know what I'm going to say. In this one, I did not. I'm kind of just off the top of my head on this. But what I want to do in this video, I want to go into the computer, I want to take a look at Cathie Wood's ARK Invest. I've made some videos on it before. Let's go back and see some of the things I've said on it before. Let's update it for today. Let's see if I've been right or wrong on the things I've said. It's been a few months. The things I said before were before the crash. So let's go ahead. Let's figure this out. Let's see if Cathie Wood's ARK Invest is something maybe to still invest in 2021. And let's roll the intro. Let's get started. All right, everyone, I got the computer open, so hit the like button if you end up liking this. Hey, let me know if this video is all over the place and it's terrible because I did not plan anything out. Or maybe it's good and maybe I should stop planning. Just, let me know. Let's start off with, we have the chart here for ARK, and let's just take a look quickly at this crash that occurred, and let's see how much this thing is lost. So let's see, it looks like about 160 was the top of ARK, and it went down to around 104. So let's see, what percentage is that? Maybe just over 35% was the loss from peak to, well, actually there's a new trough. So from the peak to, let's go back here. So it looks like in around Feb is when this thing kind of crashed, and then it fell to 105 by about March 8th. So the first thing we kind of want to look at is that's a very fast, long, big fall, right? And so the volatility on this thing is very big. It's got a lot of volatility. I'm assuming the beta's high, the standard deviation right now probably is very high. And so you know what you're getting with this thing is the potential to earn decent money and the potential to lose money very quickly, it looks like. So now moving over to more kind of where we are right now, it does look like it's actually in an uptrend. So let's see, let's go ahead, zoom in here. We'll throw a channel on this. And there, so you got an upward channel. So the thing's actually looking like it's got some upward momentum going on right now. So that's okay. And then let's see where maybe some support and resistance lines may be sitting. So it looks like it's got some potential resistance coming up. I'd say it could go another like 4 or 5% maybe before it gets to that level. And then if it breaks through that resistance line, maybe it can go up to 130. Now this is just technical analysis, and I'm just doing it kind of run and gun here. So, that is that. But there's potential in the short term, maybe this thing goes up a little bit further. The other thing I want to look at, of course, is what's going on in the fund. So let's actually look at the flows of the ETF, because in my opinion, this type of ETF, it's important to know if people are sticking with it or if people are kind of like freaking out and taking their money out. Okay, so here we have the AUM of ARK. And so what's interesting here to me is that, well, of course you could see that the start of the year, they were at about 4.5 billion in assets under management in ARKK, their flagship ETF. And then as time went on, people were jumping into ARK, and it went up to about 27-ish billion dollars. So ARK was on a tear. Cathie Wood was making tons of money, doing great, and her ETF was like killing it. And then suddenly the EV market had problems, lots of growth stocks had problems, lots of companies that have high multiples that are just straight up growth or innovation companies kind of fell out. And they lost 30-something% across the board for many different companies. Some did a little more, some lost a little less. But what I like to see is how did the effect of that, what was the effect of that on the ETFs, flows? And so to me, I think that this is very good. It seems like this is sticky. The money is sticky. The AUM inside of ARK to me has not been withdrawn at the rate that I would think it would be to suffer a 35% loss recently, or year to date, let's say. So I like to see that, actually. I think that's a great thing, and that gives me more confidence in ARK. Now, another thing to look at is that this is actually not ARK's largest decline from, let's say, peak to trough in a time period such as this. So if we actually zoom out, and we can actually see some larger declines that ARK has had over shorter periods of time, or maybe a similar period of time. This one here looks like it was actually a pretty big decline. So if you look here, of course, this is when the pandemic occurred, and it looks like ARK lost about 50% of its value there. And of course, that's kind of like an out of the ordinary circumstance. However, there have been other time periods where you can see ARK has had pretty, quick and kind of large losses. And so, you know what? It kind of comes with this ETF, and that's the things that it invests in. It's just going to happen with this type of fund. But, let's go back to some of the things I said and see if I was right. So let's kind of start with what I said about the risks of ARK. So I'm just going to play a little clip here. Okay, so ARK has some different risks associated with it. So the first thing I would say is that you've seen over time that ARK has done well in a lot of periods, but there were periods where it didn't perform that well. And so ARK itself says, if we take a look here, that during risk-on markets, ARK does. So one thing I would say here is, by the way, hey, no one disliked this video, so pat on the back. Don't go dislike this video, please. So, okay, here's the deal with what I just said and kind of what I think is going on right now. On risk-off or risk-on markets, I think it's obvious that with what they invest in, there is certain parts of the market that do well sometimes and certain parts that don't. And the part that they invest in right now had just great returns, and everyone was fine with the risk that they were taking in companies that don't earn much money, right? So you have all these companies that have no earnings, crazy multiples, that are selling at large PEs, and they did very well. But now, as there was a cycle, there was a change in the cycle essentially, and people kind of cycled out of these big growth names into some other just types of companies. It's not necessarily the whole market just fell out. It was just the specific part of the market that ARK is actually situated inside. And so unfortunately, that is what happened. And then the question is, will there be a new kind of risk on for this section of the market? It can be the case that at all points in time, ARK is going to have 60% returns. It just can't happen. There has to be times when ARK's underlying investments, due to what they're invested in, will have bad periods of time. So, of course, there's going to be times where ARK or any ETF or any investment is going to have bad returns and good returns. Over time, they're supposed to average out to be good returns, and that's how you make money. But there is a thing with high beta ETFs like this that have lots of volatility. It can be really hard to withstand. But again, because of those flows that I saw before, I'm actually impressed that this ETF has had such stickiness with people, and there hasn't been many outflows essentially. Now, I do remember this part of the video, and this is actually going to kind of be the thing that I'm going to say for myself. I have a very small amount of money in ARK, but the question is, should I take my money out or should I keep it in? And I'm going to play to you something that I said earlier, and then I'm going to explain what I'm going to do. All right, now it's time to tell you about my thesis about ARK. So here's what I think. So the way I think of ETFs sometimes is that my personal portfolio should have some weight in ETFs or in sectors that I don't feel comfortable analyzing. An example of this is that I don't feel comfortable figuring out how much a bank should be worth. So I basically am thinking the exact same thing right now. I don't feel confident with myself finding companies like ARK invests in. Now, the next question is, do I want exposure to companies that ARK invests in? It's a different side of the market. Do I want to be in that market? And so I think it's fine to have some money in that part of the market. But any point in time, I don't think you should always have all of your money in something that's very risky. And I don't think you should always have all of your money in something that has the potential of having such high volatility. So for me, I actually say later in this video, which I'm not even going to play anymore, but I think I said that I would be okay with a 5% position in ARK. would I be okay with that now? I wouldn't add to my ARK position right now, and I wouldn't want any more than probably like 5% in it. Do I think it's got potential to go up? Well, yeah, it's an uptrend channel. Maybe there's going to be some more momentum coming back into that side of the market this year. I have no idea if it will happen. I think it's possible. But again, because of proper diversification, I'm okay with having a little bit of money inside of ARK and not tons of money inside of ARK, which a lot of people I do think, unfortunately, put like maybe like half of their portfolio into an ARK ETF, lost probably some decent amount of money because I think a lot of people did this after their huge run up. But again, for me, I think 5% is the max that I would want in my portfolio of ARK. I would probably even be less right now, probably in the 3% range. And just kind of hold it there for now. So that's what I'm thinking. That's my thesis on ARK right now. Will it have like good long-term potential? I think so. I think long-term ARK's going to definitely be up. Do I want to have a large portion of my portfolio in ARK through the volatility that's probably going to happen over the next few years? No, I just want a small position. I just want to have that access to innovative companies in my portfolio with other companies, like dividend-paying companies with large cap growth, large cap value, mid cap growth, mid cap value, momentum stocks, like all these different things I want in my portfolio, and ARK just fits into a part of that. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Let me know if this video was off the rails. I just kind of winged it. So thanks again, and hey, I got some more videos coming up on the end screen. Probably should watch one of those right now.